Hey guys, and welcome back to today's video. In today's video, we are going to be doing my updated 2022 House predictions as of today, June 18th of 2022. So we still have about 4.5 months until the 2022 midterms. But without further ado, let's get right into today's video. We're going to start in alphabetical order. Alabama, we don't have much to talk about there. Alaska, yeah, it's going to be pretty much a likely Republican characterization. Going to Arizona, we do have some things to discuss about. Now, this previous map was generated by me, as it is a user-generated map. If we look at the state of Arizona on the political website, it does say a small base for GOP, and the 2nd district went to Trump by 0.4. The 6th district did go to Joe Biden by 0.3, and the 1st district went for Biden by 1.5. The 4th district actually went for Biden by 10. But look at the national environments of those polls. I do expect the Democrats to end up losing control of the 6th and 2nd district, and also lose the 1st congressional district, as there is a Republican incumbent in that race. Going to Arkansas, we don't have much to talk about there. California, we do have a lot of things to talk about in the state of California. Let's start with the 3rd district here. Only went to, I believe, Donald Trump by a margin of less than 2 percentage points, actually. Quite a competitive map. You can see that the 3rd district went for Trump by 2. I'm going to use FiveThirtyEight as it allows me to zoom in. If we look at some of these areas, Scranton is a pretty Democratic area. The 13th district is open, so I do have it as, I believe, tilt for the Democratic Party. I'm gonna move it up to lean because it is 538. It is 538. 538. It's given a national environment that is even, which is not much, so a lot away from the polls. So I'm gonna play as lean for the Democratic Party. The 22nd district, David G. Valadao, I do expect to win re-election comfortably. He is in a D plus, not comfortably, but he is in a D plus 10 district. It is going to be slightly hard for him to win, considering his own district was D plus 9. But in the end, I do think the Democrats will not be able to unseat him. Similarly, in the 27th district, Mike Garcia's district actually became 3 points more Democratic. He only won his last re-election by a margin of 0.1%, and Mike Garcia flipped the seat against TJ Cox by a margin of less than 1%. So these small shifts could really impact their re-election, especially in a year like 2024, not really in a year like 2022. And if we look at the 27th and 22nd district, they both went to Biden by a margin of about 13 points. Michelle Steele's also in a much more Democratic district. The old map had her district at R+2. This new map actually has her district at almost. If we look at this, I'm pretty sure that's not the right one. But I'm pretty sure that right now the district went to Joe Biden by, I think, about 8 or 9 points. So it's going to be more difficult for her to win, but she's going to pull it off anyway, I think. Zooming into the area of Los Angeles. Though I do not play as likely, I will play as lean. But the other maps, I think, looking at some of them, I think those are pretty solid. Katie Porter, I think a pretty good incumbent going to win by a lean margin instead. So we have adjusted a couple districts in Democrats' favor, but nothing too significant. Colorado, I think this is a pretty decent map. The only two competitive seats are the 7th, which Biden was able to win by a pretty significant margin. But again, Joe Biden did do very well in the state of Colorado as well. He won this district by almost 15 points. And the 8th district went to Biden, but it's an open seat. The national environment is not in the Democrats' favor. And yeah, so for the state of Connecticut, I think that I'm going to flip these characterizations. I'm going to put the 2nd district, the 5th district as a likely Democratic district, but the 2nd district incumbent had some scandals, so I'm going to play as lean for the Democratic Party. Delaware, we're not going to touch on that. Florida, I think this is a pretty decent map, honestly. I could see potentially some of these districts getting slightly more competitive, For example, actually, I do see the 23rd getting to a likely margin, but otherwise, I think this map's pretty good for the state of Florida. Again, this is one of the maps in which Republicans manipulated boundaries significantly, and the Democrats did that in the state of California. Georgia, the Republicans did draw out a Democratic incumbent, Lucy McBath, but Caroline Bordeaux did lose the primary, so effectively they drew out Caroline Bordeaux, the incumbent Caroline Bordeaux, sorry about that. And again, the Republicans packed the Democrats into these 4 seats in which they'll easily win. By the way, I do have a redistricting video. It will be on the end of this video in a end screen. Going to the state of Hawaii, not much to talk about there. Idaho, nothing there. Illinois, I do have the 13th as a leading Democratic seat. It is 7 points to the Democrats, I believe, on 538. And if we look at Illinois, I think this was the district that Biden was able to win. Oof. We're going to use the state of Illinois. It is an open seat with a Republican lean of R+7. The Democrats, they basically combined some of these seats for the Republicans so that 2 of their incumbents could be in one single district, and Biden was able to win by 11.3, so that's further evidence it's not going to be a total Democratic race. The state of Indiana, we don't have much to talk about there. The Republicans did draw this 5th district to be more in their favor, but also check out my redistricting video. I'm not going to touch on that in this video, though. Iowa, we don't have much to talk about there. A pretty similar map compared to the old one in terms of the partisan leans for all the districts. Oof. What is happening here? But for the state of Iowa, they can't split any county, so they drew a pretty similar map. The partisan leans are pretty similar. Overall, not much of a change here. And yeah, so this map, I do think that the incumbent in the 3rd district will lose, that being Cindy Axine, the Democratic incumbent. Kansas, Sharice David's district is now much more Republican leaning, and I believe Biden was still able to nearly win the district there, but yeah, it's 4.5. It is still 6 points more Republican. Now, he was able to do very well. He was able to win by 10. He was able to match Biden's performance, but in this national environment, in this district, he's going to have a much more tough chance at re-election. And going to the next state, Louisiana actually had their map struck down, though I do think the map will end up retaining in the end in the courts. Maine, Jared Golden, decent incumbent, but the year's not for him. That will be a lean Republican seat. Maryland, the 6th district, Biden did win the district by 10, I believe, if my memory is correct. I think I am correct there. And for Maryland, it is a Biden plus 10 seat. It's not much of a change. I mean, it is 13.5 points more Republican, which makes the district competitive, but in the end, I do think the Democrats will be able to win the state. Now, going to the next, win the district. In the state of Michigan, Massachusetts, we're going to skip over. This is where the map gets interesting with 3 competitive seats. I mean, by 3 competitive seats, I mean really competitive seats, by the way. So, for the state of Michigan, first off, we do have the 4th district here. That's Trump plus 4.0, but the incumbent there is decent. He should have no problem winning re-election. The 3rd district, I'm not really sure about this. Peter Major is likely going to be a better incumbent than other of his primary challengers, which will probably lose the district. And I do think that he will likely end up losing that primary, which will hurt the Republican Party. Overall, I will put this as a Democratic seat. Going to the 7th district, though, the previous district, the 3rd district, went to Biden by 9. The 7th district only went to Biden by a margin of 0.9%, and the incumbent there did not do very well. The district did get 2 points more Democratic, but that's not a very significant advantage for Democrats, as the incumbent there, Lisa Slotkin, was only able to win by a margin of 3.6 percentage points. Taking all that into consideration, I will put this as a leading Republican seat. The 8th district, though, with the incumbent there, actually won by 13 percentage points, and his district did become 2 points more Republican, but this district, I do think that the incumbent there has a really good shot, but I just think he'll come very narrowly short in the state of Michigan. In the state of Minnesota, we don't have much to talk about there, and Jay Craig is just not going to win re-election. Missouri here, we don't have much to talk about there. Montana, yeah, the first district could be close in a future election, but just not in 2022. Going to Nebraska, Don Bacon, pretty strong incumbent. This district actually did go to Joe Biden by 6. Joe Biden was able to win the previous Nebraska 2nd district by a margin of 6.5. And 538 does rate it as 3 points more Republican leaning. The new map is, but that is just simply not true if you look at the present 2020 results. And looking at this, yeah, it's still a Biden plus 6.4 seats, so not much of a change. It does say it's 3 points more Republican according to 538, but that's not super important and notable. Going to the state of Nevada, I had the Democrats, Stephen Horsford, end up retaining his seat. If we look at the 538 map in the state of Nevada, the map is in location, but the incumbent there was in a R+1 district. Now he will be in a D+5 district, which is 6 points more Democratic. Take these numbers with a grain of salt, but I still think that this is a general good representation, and the incumbent there was able to win by almost 5. So taking all that into consideration, the incumbent there should win. But if we look at the first district, the incumbent there, Dina Titus, is just not a test and proven product. She was in a safe Democratic district that was on 538, a D+22 seat. Now he's in a D+4 seat. I think, given those numbers, I do think the incumbent there will end up losing. Susie Lee, looking at this one as well, Susie Lee was able to win by just 3 points. And looking at the map here, it is a D+2 district, previously a R+5 seat. So given those numbers, I still think the Republicans have a slight edge. New Hampshire, this was a map that was just newly drawn, and if we look at the map, it does favor the Democrats, as the map is generally more competitive. I do think that Chris Pappas, in a not-so-good Democratic environment, will end up losing his seat by a lead margin, but I think and Custer should be able to win by a lead margin. So that's a 1-to-1 delegation in New Hampshire. New Jersey, the 7th district, I do think that the incumbent there is pretty much gonna lose. Tom Malinowski was only able to win by 2 points in the old map, less than 2 points actually, actually just 1.2 points. And looking at the new map, according to 538, the district is now 7 points more Republican. So given that, it's going to be a likely margin for the Democratic candidate, but for the 5th district, the incumbent there are pretty good, very solid Democratic seat there, should win re-election comfortably. New Mexico, this is my map for New Mexico, but the 2nd district I'll make it slightly more competitive, given that it is still a seat that is 4 points to the left on 538, and 538 does have it as a neutral national environment, which is not necessarily what's going to happen in 2022, but it's not super far away either. New York, the Hochul manager was stricken down, and now this new map does favor the Republicans a little bit more than the previous map. Now, New York's a pretty large state, so we have to use both of these websites to get a fair look at the state. The old map and the new map, not much of a change in terms of partisan lean. Republicans lost a seat upstate, but they did make John Katko's district 2 points more to the right. I think the Republicans should be able to nearly win this district. I think for 19th, looking at the previous map, it was the R+4 seat, now it's only R+1, but it is now an open seat, which is not going to help the Democratic Party at all. And if we look at the 18th district, this district actually also is open. So, given that it's another open seat, I do have the Democrats end up losing the seat by a tilt margin rather than winning it by a tilt margin, and the 19th as a lead margin for Republican Party. But looking at the 17th district, Sean Patrick Manali, the Democratic incumbent, should be able to hold on. The 3rd district as well should be tilt Democratic, but this incumbent from the 3rd District has been retiring to run for governor. This will hurt the Democratic Party tremendously, but in the end, the Democrats will end up holding the seat. Now going to the state of North Carolina, I think this is a pretty good characterization overall. J.K. Butterfield is running for re-election after the map was drawn into his favor. The 14th District does give the Democrats an additional seat. And the 13th District, a newly drawn seat that supported Biden, I just don't think will support the Democrats in such a Democratic and Republican-leading environment. So for the state of Ohio, Steve Chabot, I do think, is in quite a little bit of trouble. Looking at this map in the state of Ohio, it was definitely intended to give the Republicans a huge boost, but the 1st District went to Biden by almost 9 percentage points, which is not a very good sign for the Republican Party. So going to Ohio, this map, it does effectively ensure that Steve Chabot will end up losing 2024 if he does hold on in 2022 as the Democratic presidential candidate, will likely also carry Ohio's 1st congressional district. So I do think that John Katko will end up losing his seat, but otherwise I think this map is pretty good. For the state of Oregon here, I think this is also pretty decent. Going to Pennsylvania, the 17th District, Conor Lamb ran for Senate, lost that Democratic nomination. The 8th District, Matthew Cartwright, gonna lose given how Republican his seat is. I mean, again, Biden did not lose the seat by a huge margin, but it is R+8, and R+8 is not a good sign for the Democratic Party candidate at all. And yeah, so for the 7th District, Susan Wild, in an even seat, not gonna vary. In a R+4 seat, actually, sorry. Brian Fitzpatrick is an even seat, but Susan Wild, a okay incumbent, will not be able to win given the national environment, and Brian Fitzpatrick, a very good incumbent, gonna easily win to re-election. So going to Rhode Island, this seat with the incumbent there had some scandals, but gonna be a likely Democratic seat regardless. South Carolina, the Republicans gerrymandered the 1st District pretty good. Not much to talk about there. For the state of Tennessee, not much there. Texas, the 34th District could potentially become more competitive, given that in 2020, in the primary that just happened 2 days ago, I should say 3 days ago, the Democrat ended up losing with 51%, with the Republicans getting a combined total of almost 53% of the vote, and the top Republican candidate getting 51%. I think with a Republican incumbent, this will be a much better district for the Republican Party, which will move it down to a lane, but also the Republicans really have no chance in such a Democratic district. And if we look at 2020 presidential data, this is something I would like to reference, as Biden did not do very well in this part of the state at all. Just wait, this app is loading here. Biden still won the seat by 15.7, so this is still a very solid seat for the Democratic Party, and honestly, I do think the Democrats will end up winning this seat. So Utah, not much to talk about there. Vermont, no. Virginia, nah, I don't think much. Abigail Spanberger will just nearly lose, and for the 2nd District, Democratic incumbent Elaine Luria, this is just not the year for her either. Washington, the 8th District, how do you pronounce his name? Sorry, but in the end, I think the Democrats are going to lose that seat. So West Virginia, Wisconsin, we do have the 3rd District with Ron Kind. This is going to be a closer district, but not necessarily going to go to the Democratic Party, as Ron Kind has announced that he will not run for re-election, and that will be a very bad thing for the Democratic Party, as, of course, without an incumbent, the Democrats have a very slim chance at actually winning this seat. So Wyoming, we don't have much to talk about there, but I do want to tell you guys about my other social medias. Do end up joining me on Twitter and Discord as well. I just made a new Discord server on Discord, so the link will be down below, and on Twitter, follow me on Twitter as well. So thanks for watching today's video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below which predictions you disagree with and which predictions you agree with. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.